If a £70 million wholesaler like SOS Wholesale can collapse into administration almost overnight, no business is safe unless it's watching cash flow like a hawk. This was one of the UK's biggest discount suppliers, trading for over 30 years, working with supermarkets and convenience stores nationwide, and it still couldn't survive the pressure. Now, if you don't learn from what happened here, your business could be next, because these pressures aren't just hitting giants, they're hitting everyone. SOS Wholesale has just gone into administration. Most staff have been made redundant. Trading has ceased. There's a big firm, Interpath Advisory, they've been brought in. And the question is, what went wrong? And what can directors across the UK learn before it's too late? Chris Worden, Director First. I am the #1 in the UK for director advisory around insolvency. So if you're a director, you want some information, hopefully this video is going to help. So let's have a look at what actually happened at SOS. So it was founded in 1996, and SOS Wholesale grew into one of the UK's biggest delivered wholesalers. And they supplied absolutely everything. You know, there were branded groceries, drinks, household goods, confectionery, and they mainly sent them to convenience stores, discounters, and garden centres across the UK in Ireland. You've probably bought goods from SOS Wholesale. And they operated from a massive distribution centre in Derby, and they had a sales office in Barnsley. And I think there was about 100 people employed at the time of the collapse. Now, on the 8th of September, the administrators, Interpath Advisory, they were appointed. Trading stopped immediately, and most of the staff were made redundant. And only a handful was left to remain to actually help with the administration process while options are being explored. And one of the things that they're considering, obviously, is a sale of the business or the assets of the business. Now, the directors, let's have a look at what's caused this. Directors have cited sustained pressure on cash flow and profitability. So rising input costs and shifting consumer spending habits. And what it's done is it's squeezed the margins so tightly, okay? And the business has just got nowhere else to run. Now, it's not recovered. And these aren't excuses. This is a big business with the reality of trading in 2025. So obviously this is an administration, and I want to talk to you about what administration means in practice. So on this one, there's almost 100 employees. They've been made redundant immediately. Now, the administrators will now be helping them claim unpaid wages, redundancy, notice pay, and holiday pay. So whether you're a big business or a small business, if your staff have been with you over 2 years and they're on the payroll, they're entitled to statutory redundancy. Now, a lot of businesses, just like SOS, they didn't have enough funds in the bank to pay the redundancy. So what happens in these processes, and if you go into liquidation or administration, the redundancy payments office, they pay out the redundancy. Your staff make a claim for redundancy through the government portal, and the process sort of takes 4 to 6 weeks depending on how busy they are, okay? It's normally a week or a week and a half served. It's not just redundancy they can claim. That's what they can claim if they've been there over 2 years. But even if they've not been there over 2 years, or they have been there over 2 years, they can also claim unpaid wages. They can claim holiday pay that's been accrued and not taken. And there's a thing called notice pay. Now, notice pay is something they can claim to compensate them not getting the correct notice when they're made redundant. Listen, it's a brutal situation, but sadly, it's getting standard in these times. If you're worried about your staff and what might happen if your business doesn't make it, click the link today. One of my team will call you and will guide you through everything. Now let's talk about the creditors. So obviously you've got the standard suppliers, landlords, lenders, and they'll be lining up to lodge claims with the administrator. Because once something goes into administration or liquidation, all the creditors get the opportunity to basically put their claim in. And depending on what happens in this administration, you know, what assets got sold, it's very unlikely unsecured creditors will see much. Maybe they'll see pennies in the pound. Remember that the first people to get paid are the charge holders, okay? So that could be a mortgage, it could be a factoring company. And after the charge holder, you've got the preference creditors. So that's people like HMRC. After that, you've got unsecured creditors, and that's generally your suppliers, your energy suppliers, and it's in a lot of insolvencies they don't get anything, and in this it's expected to be pennies in the pound. And then if we look at what's happening to the business, well, the administrator, they are urgently looking for buyers. But let's be clear, if a sale happens, it will just be an asset sale. It's very unlikely to be a rescue of the company itself. So for all practical purposes, SOS Wholesale, as it was, it's finished. So just so you understand how an admin works, they've gone into administration, they've filed that notice of intention to appoint. Sorry, there's a wall of protection around them now. Nobody can take legal action against them while they're in admin. And the administrator is either going to line up a sale and they'll sell parts of the business. So it might be the assets, it might be the brand name, it might be the stock. Or they'll find someone to come in and rescue the business and keep it as a going concern, which in this scenario is fairly unlikely. Now, I want to sort of talk about why I think this matters. Because the collapse isn't just one wholesale. I mean, you see me do videos about this every week. It's highlighting massive pressure that's on UK retail supply chains. Costs are rising across the board. Whether you are SOS or you are a convenience store in bloody Dudley, okay? Your costs are going up. Fuel, energy, wages, cost of borrowing. Margins are razor thin. And if your customers stop spending like they used to, the pain is going to start to be felt. And it goes all the way back from the retailers back to the wholesalers. Because when a wholesaler fails, retailers are going to suffer too. Shops will be relying on SOS. And now they've got to scramble for another supplier, often at a higher cost. And it shows how fragile the whole ecosystem is. Now, if you're a director, the warning is clear. If you're seeing cash flow strain, if your margins are being squeezed, don't assume you're safe because you've been around for decades. SOS Wholesale had 30 years of history and it still wasn't enough. Now, I believe there are some lessons in all of these big story collapses. And what are the lessons that we can take from the SOS Wholesale collapse? Well, obviously, lesson one is cash flow is king. You can have big sales, you can have an impressive turnover, but if your costs are rising faster than your income, you're in trouble. Because that's why SOS fell. It was because cash flow pressures became unmanageable. Don't ignore your forecasts, face them. Now, if you don't have a cash flow forecast, I'm talking to you, you've got to start looking at your finances. It's a critical part of your business. Every single business in the UK, whether you are turning over 100 grand or 100 million, you need a profit and loss at the end of every month. I can't believe that some people are running on businesses in the head and on back of the packets of fags. Like, you need a bookkeeper. Get a bookkeeper in on a monthly basis. They're going to tell you where your profit and loss is. They're going to tell you your balance sheet. They should be able to do your 13-week rolling cash flow. And all that is a list of what you think is coming in and a list of what you think is going out. And it'll give you visibility on where there might be problems so you can see them before they become real problems. Lesson 2, margins matter more than volume. Now, a lot of wholesalers They chase volume. In fact, a lot of businesses chase volume. It's not just wholesalers. Thinking big is better. Been in that position before, you know. But if you're getting volume at poor margins, it's a ticking time bomb. Because if you're selling more and making less, you're heading for some serious trouble. So make sure you protect that healthy margin. You need to make a profit when you're going to work. It's not a dirty word. It's not a dirty word. You've got to, I've just knocked my camera. I hope the angle's not gone too skewed. You've got to maintain a healthy profit margin. And that sounds really simple. But so many people will sacrifice profit margin for that bigger contract. I was on the phone to a guy yesterday. Got a massive contract. And at the start of it, he thought, this is the one, you know, really big company who's giving it him. Decent money. He thought, he's not making any money. 2 years into a 5-year contract. And it's killed the rest of his business that we're doing okay. Listen, lesson 3, you've got to act early. If you're struggling, if you become insolvent or you think there's a problem, you've got to act early. SOS, they dropped plans for, you've heard me talk about it, a Part 26A restructuring earlier this year. By September, it was too late. If you know you're struggling, explore liquidations, explore CVAs, explore administration before cash runs out. Because wait until the very end almost always means staff redundancy, creditor pain and losing control. So what happened? SOS Wholesale collapsed into administration after 30 years in business, crushed by rising costs, cash flow pressure and changing consumer demand. 100 staff lost their jobs. Creditors are going to see little back. And the brand might only survive if assets are sold. The lesson's clear. No business is too big, too old or too established to fail if the numbers stop working. If you're a UK director and your company is under cash flow strain, don't wait until administrators are knocking on your door. Contact us at Director First today. We'll explain your options in plain English. We'll hopefully protect you and we'll help you act before it's too late. Now, if you want to know more about what administration is, okay, I want you to go over here. I want you to click on this video now and it'll tell you everything about administration, how it happens, what's the process, how you can buy your assets back pre-pack before admin. It's going to explain absolutely everything in really simple terms. Go over there, click on that link, find out more about administration, how it might be able to save your business.